Disney's live action remake of Snow White is finally here. So today, let's see if it's worth your time. A princess joins forces with 7 dwarves to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother, the evil queen. I'm a fan of the animated Disney film Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. Going into this film, I was very hesitant because of the controversy surrounding this film, the reshoots, and Rachel Zegler's comments about everything. I just didn't have the full confidence that this movie would be good. And there isn't one Disney live action remake that is amazing or better than its original film. And I'm happy to say that Snow White is a good time. It's not the best Disney live action remake and certainly nowhere near as good as the animated film, but it exceeded my expectations. I didn't have much expectations going into the film, but it's better than I thought it was going to be. And I'm happy with that. When it comes to being a remake of the animated film, it works. I think Rachel Zegler is really good as Snow White. She embodies all of the fairness to Snow White, being very kind to the 7 dwarves, and they really expand on the idea of her being very kind and wanting to liberate her kingdom from her cruel stepmother. They expand on all of that. But when it is a remake of that animated film, it does work. I loved the hi-ho sequence with the dwarves. I loved all the musical moments like Whistle While You Work. That all worked for me, and it brought a smile to my face. I felt that Disney charm when it was all the scenes that were remakes of that animated film. It's when it comes to expanding the story that I don't think it fully worked. Moments in the animated film that may seem a little more thin when it comes to the development of the evil queen or the prince within the film. I will admit that moments in the animated film do feel a little bit hollow when it comes to those moments, as it does really focus on Snow White and her time with the dwarves. So they are taking the foundation of the Snow White story and expanding on that. And I do think that it mostly works, and it is an appropriate story to tell for Snow White, wanting to liberate her kingdom, fight back against the evil queen. That is a realistic storyline for the Snow White story, and having more involvement of the prince, I did appreciate. But all of that still felt hollow. There wasn't enough development for me to actually care about it all. But it did grow Snow White as a character, seeing when she was younger with her mother and father, what she's going through in the beginning with her evil stepmother, the evil queen. There is more added layers to Snow White as a character, wanting everything to be fair, wanting the citizens of her kingdom to be treated equally. I love that more exploration of Snow White being fair and brave and kind. That all worked for me. And then when she got to the cottage with the 7 dwarves and got to know them, we have more of the prince involvement within the film, where we've seen set photos a while back of what they wanted the dwarves to be, and there was a lot of complaints online, and then they did the reshoots with the CGI dwarves that look pretty bad, I gotta say. We have the characters that we saw in that image in here as bandits with the prince, and they get more involved with the story and try to help out the dwarves and Snow White to fight against the evil queen. All of that was rough. The ending was rough. Getting everybody together to fight against the evil queen felt very quick. There was no excitement to that all. It felt very thin when it wanted to develop that relationship between Snow White and Jonathan, not the prince anymore, just Jonathan. And then leading up to fighting against the evil queen, it was very brief, and I have a hard time actually remembering what had happened during those scenes. So when it takes the foundation of Snow White and tries to expand on it all, it doesn't fully work. I like the more added layers to Snow White as a character, but all of the scenes at the end with Jonathan and the bandits and fighting against the evil queen, that is where I think the movie fell flat. But when it's a remake of the Snow White movie, I really liked it. The added songs in here add more emotion to the storyline with a song in the beginning, Waiting on a Wish. I really like that. Gal Gadot had a good song in the middle half of the film. The end song is great as well. So there is more songs that are added throughout this film, but you also have the classic Snow White songs that do work. Gal Gadot was all right as the evil queen. I think there could have been more of an evil vibe to this character. Gal Gadot is a good actress, but I don't think she was the right pick to be an evil queen. The look is great. I love the costumes behind it all, and there's a good musical number in this film, and I think she does a fine job as the evil queen, but I wanted something creepier, more demanding, more controlling, and I just didn't get that vibe with Gal Gadot. And Rachel Zegler is really good in here. Loved all the musical moments. She's proven that she is a great actress. Despite all of her comments about the film, I do think that she worked well as Snow White. Now, all of the dwarves, I feel like they were really underutilized within this film, and they looked pretty bad after switching things up and having the reshoots. I don't think it fully worked, but I did like them within this film. I loved Dopey as a kid. It's one of my favorite Disney characters, and here it's still very adorable. Visually, it's a stunning film. The costume designs look great. The hi-ho sequence with the mine, that looks really good. I loved that whole sequence and had a big smile on my face. I think it works as that remake, but there is so many other additions to the film that just don't feel very coherent throughout, and it's a little bit messy. So it's not my favorite Disney remake, but it is better than I thought it was going to be. They're able to bring the themes of Snow White and her personality and what makes her such an iconic Disney character to a remake, but also adding more that felt appropriate and a step in the right direction. Despite all the reshoots and all of the comments about this film, it was better than what I expected it to be. And if it's better than what I expected it to be, I'm happy with that. Even if it wasn't the best film ever made, I'm happy that it exceeded my expectation. So if you had low expectations going into Snow White, I'm very curious, what were your overall thoughts on this movie? I'm gonna go ahead and give Snow White a B-. Thank you guys for checking my review for Snow White, the new Disney live action remake. Have you guys seen it by chance? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Just Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.